Hello, welcome to Pop Along RC, the RC car channel dedicated to RC car racing. And today we are talking tidy cars, tidy electrics. My soldering in the past has not been fantastic. However, I do get a real hard time from a lot of people about the state of my cars and my electrics. Now, for my Tamiya's, you can get away with a little bit scruffy electrics, but for a car like this, which is my Atom 3, this is pretty much unacceptable. I mean, we've got long cables at the front here, we've got massive long leads for our power. It is just a bit of a mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through how I'm going to make this car a lot better. Now, the truth behind this is that I obviously got the Atom 3 and I popped in this here, which is the Pace ESC. And long term, I never intended to keep this ESC with my Atom 3. I always intended to upgrade. So what we've got here is the XR10 Pro 1S edition. And this seems to be the ESC of choice. So knowing that I was going to put this in the car and knowing that this was going to come out and go into another car, I didn't want to cut the wires down too short. So I've left them all long. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put this one in. And because this is the ESC for this car and I intend to keep it in this car for the duration, I am going to be cutting back the wires and trying to do the best job that I can. So what tools have I got for this job? Well, I have got over here my new soldering iron. So I'm hoping that having a new soldering iron is going to help with my soldering. I've also bought some new solder and I've got a couple of little bits to help me with that. This here is my crimping device. Now, the reason I've got this is so that I can add these female connectors and these bits to these wires here. So I'm actually going to chop these wires down, make them a lot shorter so they literally go straight in. Tidies it all up and makes it all a little bit nicer. With regards GT12, the one thing that I'm really not sure about is this one here. So the main thing for this video is I'm going to sort out this wiring. We're going to put the new ESC in, and it's a case of whether we also go for a new motor. So I've got a new 13.5 turned Rocket RC motor, which seems to be one of the motors of choice, or at least one that I could get hold of. So let's get on with this tidy up. Okay, first impressions of the stock XR10 ESC. This is a lovely little piece of kit. Now let's compare it to the size of the Pace, and you know what, it's so much smaller. It's a lovely little ESC that, so that will go in quite nicely. It does come with a fan, but I don't think I need to run with the fan, so that all looks very cool. So I've just taken the wires off. I'm going to use this wicking to get rid of some of the excess solder. Hopefully we can tidy this up. There's still plenty of life in this motor, so I think I'm going to keep this motor in the car and just add the new ESC. So let's tidy this up. So what I've done here is I've cut this quite a lot shorter than the other wires. As you can see, these ones are really long, and I've put a little kink on it so it touches the motor without touching the pod. So That is pretty much about as short as it will go, and it gives me just enough leverage so that there's no contact there. So I need to solder that just in there. So I've still got my stray wire from the fan, but if we have a look at the motor electrics, they loop over quite nicely into the new ASC. I've shortened these down so the red will only reach the red and the black will reach the black, and really happy with how they are. I've got a capacitor in here. I have the option of shortening this, but for the time being, that can stay exactly where it is. So we move on now to the front of the car, and we have got two cables that come, one from the ESC and one from the servo, and they need to go from here to here, but I have got loads left. So I'm thinking for this one I will probably cut it maybe to about there, so it'll look like that. And then this one, again, there's plenty there, maybe just cut it to about here, to really make those nice and short. Having them nice and short means I can get rid of all of this excess wires. So that is the next job. Okay, so as you can see, the wire comes out of the ESC here. I've just put a little bit of tape on the side of the ESC to hold it nice and flush so it goes in really tight, and I'm going to put a tiny little loop on the end, so I need to chop it to about here. Oh man, it always makes me a little bit nervous. I'm going to go a little bit longer just in case I make a mistake. As I say, I'm not that experienced at doing these, but here goes. And there it is. So I am going to split these. 1, 2 and 3. So I need to go to my little pot over here and grab me a couple of these. So if we'll get those into there, but before I can do that, I need to expose the wire and crimp them up. Okay, so this is quite a techie little job really. You've got the bit that you plug into your receiver. You've got these parts here which you need to crimp around the end of the wire, and then once you've crimped these onto the end of the wire, you push them into the holes, and that is pretty much all you need to do. First thing we do is we take one of the bits and we put them with the metal pointing down like so. Now if we close these up, they do actually lock in place like a ratchet, which means that part now is not going to fall out, and we just need to feed our wire in through that hole. Once we've done that, we clamp it shut and they should hold in place. Do you know what, after all that effort, it does look better, but it's a long way away from what the Pro's doing. The battery connectors are a lot shorter now for the red and the black. As for the wires on the servo and ESC, almost invisible. So you can see it comes out here. It's just taped to the side of the ESC there. Really short, cut nice and tight. Again, the servo just wraps around between the receiver and servo, and then in there. But again, I've cut that quite short. The capacitor is an addition on this one. Before it had a bar of capacitors along this way. I've dropped that in there for now. These wires could potentially be a little bit shorter, make that a little bit nicer, but I haven't decided what to do on that one just yet, because I might replace it over this side, in which case it needs to be a little bit longer. But I think it is looking a lot nicer than it was before. Still a long way to go before I hit the levels that the Pros are running. Like the wiring in the Pros cars is just next level. But for me, this is one of my better jobs. Comment in the description down below what you think. What did I do wrong? What could I do better? I'm sure there still will be comments about my shocking soldering, but hey ho, we're all learning on this journey, aren't we?